So as the title explains, multiple offers seem to be back in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, at least compared to the other parts of the country. In this video, I'm going to go over some articles as far as what we're seeing regarding rates, inventory, pricing, etc., and how it compares to the rest of the country here in New Hampshire. So I'm Sboghigian with Keller Williams Gateway Realty. In the fall of 2022, we saw drastically rising rates, which caused a lot of buyers to pause their search, get on the sidelines, sort of see where things end up. We started to see a very strong increase in price reductions on the inventory that was listed for sale, and a lot of people were thinking that, okay, this might be the shift. The rates are going up, prices are going to start to come down, inventory will pile up going into 2023, and we'll start to get more balanced in the market, start to edge closer to a buyer's market. What we're seeing now, fast forward a few months, is not that really at all. So let's take a look at this article here, Housing Wire, and according to Altos research here, mortgage rates in January, they're saying 6-ish. They range depending on the buyer, obviously, but they started to creep downward a little bit compared to the fall of 2022, and we saw some increased buyer demand. January in New Hampshire was still sort of slow overall, which is somewhat to be expected for the season, but buyer demand did tend to start to pick up a little bit going into February, and very much so as we are into February now at the time I'm filming this. Buyer demand has definitely gone up quite a bit. They're saying that in their opinion, if rates overall start to breach 7%, we could see a drop in demand again. But other than that, we could see some good eager buying and some higher demand start to creep up, which I would agree with. Compared to in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, we're seeing a very drastic increase in buyer demand. It seems like a lot of buyers are coming back out. Inventory, this will be, I think, the real driver, because I think that rates are going to fluctuate up and down for the rest of this year. It would not surprise me at all. I don't think they're going to drastically go up or drastically come down in either direction, but I think if they hover plus or minus around where they are now or go down, I think buyer demand will stay strong, if not continue to grow, which will be an interesting twist compared to where we thought we were headed in 2022. So in this article here, they're saying late January, we had 465,000 single-family homes on the market nationwide. That's 36% fewer than we had pre-pandemic. It is more than we had in 2022. So it's going to be interesting. I think we have to be careful with keeping in mind that 2020 to 2022 was an anomaly. They're not standard traditional years in real estate. So comparing to 2017 to 2019 is probably a more realistic benchmark to use to kind of measure, are we at a traditional market yet or not? And we are definitely not. They're saying they're seeing no indication of there being a surge in new inventory anytime soon. I think this is what's going to propel the market or hold it back more so than rates. Again, unless there's a widespread loss in jobs or things like that, or we're at 10% interest rates at some point. I think other than that, it's really going to be inventory that drives the pace of the market. And right now, inventory, especially in New Hampshire, Northern Mass, is very constrained. There's low inventory, and that is what's driving the multiple offers. Where they're saying, unlike COVID times, homes are starting to sit a little bit longer here for a couple weeks at least. I would probably say it depends. That's a more local stat in Southern New Hampshire. Northern Massachusetts, I would say if it's under $500,000 and it's priced correctly and it is in pretty much moving condition, they're selling in 1 to 4 days easy right now. Over ask price, I'm seeing multiple offers. I'm seeing cash offers. I'm seeing waiving contingencies. I'm seeing over list price as well. And up until recently, last couple months, I would say it was really not that drastic. It was probably 5,000, 10,000 over list price. Now I'm seeing we're back to 20, 30, 40 plus $1,000 over list price, which is going to be interesting going into the spring. There will be more inventory in the spring coming on, as it normally does each year, but I don't think it's going to come anywhere close to where we need to be to start balancing things out. Looking at pricing here, they're looking at median price of new listings coming on. In this section here, they're saying that in COVID, each new listing that came on pretty much was drastically higher than their neighbor that just sold 2 weeks ago. So we're not seeing that trend, but they're saying supply is still very tight, and it's going to keep us strong for prices. And they're saying that this is an indicator of price stability, which is a change from where we saw in the fall of 2022, where we started to see a climb in price reductions. We had 43% price reductions in December of 2022, which was way up from 30%, which is what is in typical years. We're now to 33%. So currently sitting at 33.9%, which is higher than the typical of 30%, but way lower than what we saw in December at 43%. So it's sort of an interesting twist. They're saying that they're seeing the drop in home prices have already started to pull back. I would agree with that. In New Hampshire, we're not seeing a big decline in home prices. And again, unless the rates start to dramatically increase, I think we're going to continue to see a competitive market. We're going to continue to see multiple offers. And I think it's going to kind of stay in the middle as far as I don't think rates are going to drastically go up or down. Who knows though? That's, we're going to have to see where those end up by mid to end of spring. But I also don't think inventory, it will increase probably compared to last year maybe, but it will come nowhere near where we need to be a balanced market. And I think that will be the overall, as I said, driver of the market as far as, if there's less units sold this year compared to prior years, I'm going to go out and predict that it's not necessarily because of buyer demand, because I think that's there. I think it's going to be that there just are not enough homes for sale to sell to all of the buyers. So for that reason, I think that at least through the middle of summer, we're going to continue with a pretty competitive market. Now, if that is the case, and I believe it will be, I would say if you have been thinking about selling in 2023, anytime like summer, fall, whenever, I would reevaluate that timeline, and I would see if it's possible to do it sooner depending on what you want to do and where you're trying to go. Because right now, there is a lot of pent-up buyer demand. You have a very good chance of getting multiple offers on your home and getting more than what probably most people would have thought you could at this time in the market. Buyers, I would be saying you need to just put yourself in the best possible position and make sure that you're prepared to go up against multiple offers. Make sure you have the right team who is doing the due diligence for you, figuring out if there are multiple offers, because there are still pockets where a home was overpriced or whatever it may be, and doesn't have an offer, only has a couple offers, and you can sometimes squeeze into those opportunities. But most of the time, I'm going to say there's going to be multiple offers, high likelihood, and you want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward, getting prepared, getting pre-qualified, working with a lender who can get back to you quickly and who can make things work for you. So make sure you're doing your due diligence on that part. If you have more questions about Southern New Hampshire, Northern Massachusetts, real estate, feel free to shoot me a message. Check out my other videos. I just posted a market update for January for Nashua, New Hampshire, and you can sort of see where those trend lines are going. It's pretty similar. We're seeing multiple offers, low inventory in Nashua as well. So we will see what happens in the coming months. But for now, make sure that you're prepared as a buyer and as a seller. Reevaluate, see if you could sell sooner, because you will probably make more profit now than you will later in the year.